All right, we are back with Insider Betting. Today we have a new guest, actually, a new member of the channel, Cody Gushlak. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. It's been a good day. I'm excited to get into some good picks.
Hell yeah. Cody joined the Inside Fighting team about 2-3 weeks ago. He's been doing some video editing and he's been posting some of his own content on the side, but you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of him. Today, we're just going to do a brief breakdown. We have the Riyadh card coming up. I think it's in Riyadh, coming up on February 1st, I believe. It's going to be like in the middle of the night for us. But Israel Adesanya is headlining it against who was it again? Against Imavov. So we're gonna briefly cover the card. We're gonna do another episode next week. We're gonna give you guys a full detailed breakdown, but we're just gonna kind of run it through this week. So we're just gonna go over the main card because, as always, you don't watch the prelims. We don't watch the prelims. The card's at like 1 a.m. anyway, so nobody's watching out here. But we're gonna talk about it anyway. Starting off the card, though, we have Muhammad Naimov taking off Khan-Oflahi. Both are coming off of a loss. Naimov is coming off a loss to Felipe Lima, where Khan-Oflahi, I believe his last fight was actually his UFC debut against Miran Santos, where he got knocked out in the second round. Full honesty, I don't know much about this fight. On paper, though, I'm kind of leaning towards Naimov, just with the EV last name, or EV-OV last name, based out of fighting in Saudi Arabia, which they typically tend to do pretty good on. Last card, I think they went 8-8, which was pretty nuts. All around, he just looks better. When you look at his striking stats, when you look at his grappling stats, he looks like the better fighter overall. Offaly's clearly coming off of a loss in his UFC debut, so his stock's kind of low right now. But it should be a somewhat interesting fight. I think both of these fighters have a decent finish rate. Offaly has 7 finishes out of his 11 wins, and Naimov has 8 finishes out of his 11 wins. So there's a very good chance we see a finish here, I think. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm surprised to see this matchup even happening. I guess they see something in Khan-Oflahi that I don't see. I mean, he did lose his UFC debut. He was a finalist in the Ultimate Fighter Alexa Grasso season versus Valentina Shevchenko. So he does have some cred there, but he did lose in the finals. Muhammad Naimov, he's coming off of a loss to Felipe Lima via rear naked choke. He's Tajikistan. He's from Tajikistan. He's from Tajikistan, and his name's Muhammad Naimov. I mean, this guy has got to be a lock. I did see he did have a knockout before he got submitted in the first round, and I think they're setting Khan-Oflahi up for a knockout here. I think Muhammad Naimov is going to get the finish.
We'll be back to the video in just a second, but first, the NFL season is coming to an end. We've got the conference championship games coming up this weekend. Whether or not your team is in the big game does not matter, because Inside Fighting has a way to get you guys closer to all the action. And right now we've partnered up with our friends over at DraftKings, an official partner of the NFL. And if you're a new DraftKings customer, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5, you'll receive $200 of bonus bets instantly, all by using our promo code Inside Fighting at sign up. You can use those bonus bets on same game parlays, or if sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry about it. Just go play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and get in on the action there. Again, the conference championship games are coming up this weekend, and if you want to get closer to all the action, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5, get $200 of bonus bets instantly, only if you use our promo code Inside Fighting on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The crown is yours.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree with that analysis. Next up, we have Ikram Aliskerov taking off Andre Muniz. I actually think this is a really sick fight because Aliskerov just fought Robert Whittaker, which I actually thought Aliskerov was going to win. And then he got knocked out in the first round, and he just got absolutely dominated. Like it didn't even look close. You know, like Whittaker was all over him from the get-go. I think this one's interesting though, because Andre Muniz, although he hasn't had like the craziest UFC career. He is still very experienced. He's got fights against Brendan Allen, Paul Craig, Eric Anders, Uriah Hall. Like he's fought some decent names. So I think that I think the original step up for Aliskerov to fight Whitaker with his resume like just didn't make any sense. Like you just kind of threw a guy who looked decent, who was his only loss had come to Hamza Chimaev. So everyone was like, oh, this like the hype train was behind him, right? But at the same time, like Whitaker is top 5, you know? So I think they tossed him to the wolves pretty quick, especially after fighting, who is it? Warley Alves. Like I don't even know who that is, you know? Like you go from a guy like that to Whitaker, makes no sense. I think this fight against Muniz here makes sense. It's like the right step up for him that made more sense, like looking at his trajectory than Whitaker did. I got Aliskerov all the way. Like I think he's probably the biggest lock of the night, honestly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they're also setting Andre Muniz to get knocked out here. I do agree with your take. I don't know how he got that fight set up with Robert Whitaker. I also was riding Erkram. I thought he was going to use some wrestling, take him down, but obviously didn't happen. He got knocked out in the first round. You mentioned that Andre Muniz had fights against Paul Craig and Brendan Allen. Those are 2 good names, but Paul Craig was able to get the knockout against Andre Muniz, and Brendan Allen was able to submit Andre Muniz. So I think Erkram is going to have his way here with Andre Muniz. He's a heavy favorite for a reason. He has better takedown defense. So I think all around it makes sense that he's a heavy favorite here, and I'm going to put him in the parlay for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, he really does seem like the biggest lock of the night. Like they're trying to set up Andre Muniz as like kind of like a gatekeeper for him, but he's done a pretty poor job of being a gatekeeper. So I'm going with Aliskerov. We got another Nurmagomedov, Saeed. Is he Khabib's brother or is he a cousin as well?
This I'm not sure. I am just not sure, but I mean the Nurmagomedov's got fraud checked at UFC 311 with Umar losing. So I will say the name is attractive. It catches everybody's eye, but this one might be a toss-up for me.
Yeah. You know what? I just looked it up. It says they're not even related. They're just close friends. It's pretty nuts.
See, you never know. Somebody could see that name and they throw it away. That's the pick. That's the lock, but you just don't know what you guys are in. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, although the EV-OV last names tend to be locks in Saudi Arabia, and just like in Dubai, like in the UAE or in Saudi, I don't think it's going to be the same for this card, bro. I really don't. I think Oliveira is probably going to get the win over Saeed Nurmagomedov. Oliveira is a fucking dog, bro. Like he's got 16 knockouts and 21 wins. He's riding a 4-win win streak. He's 2-0 in the UFC right now. You got Saeed Nurmagomedov, who has a couple losses on his record. He lost to Raoni Barcelos, who just beat Payne Talbot this past weekend. So prospect there. And he lost to Jonathan Martinez, who's kind of been fraud checked his past 2 fights against Jose Aldo, and I forget the last one there. But I think he's got 2 losses in a row now. Who was it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Who'd you say?
Marcus McGee against Jonathan Martinez, I think.
You're right. Yeah, it was Marcus McGee. So, I don't think Saeed is all that. There's a reason we didn't know his relation to Khabib. And yeah, I think Oliveira is actually gonna get it done here.
Yeah, I like Vinicius Oliveira. He had that crazy flying knee knockout in the 3rd round to Sopai, which was just, since then I've been an instant fan. He has this insane striking style, kind of like Yuri Prochazka. He's gonna throw heavy leg kicks. He's gonna bounce around. He's gonna throw lots of strikes. I don't think this fight goes to the ground, but let's say Nurmagomedov is getting beat up the first round. He might start shooting for those takedowns and show his last name. Wrestling, that's what they do. But I think he would have to shoot for takedowns here and really tire out Vinicius Oliveira that way, because I think he's going to get outstricken. So I think he has to shoot, has to show some solid wrestling in this one if he wants a chance to win a decision here. I don't think he gets the knockout. Although Vinicius Oliveira only has 3 losses on his record, they're all from knockout. So maybe he does have that chin if he gets exhausted in a 3-round fight. Maybe we see something happen there. But yeah, you brought up the Jonathan Martinez fight. I think that was crucial for Saeed Nurmagomedov. He got calf kicked a bunch in that fight, and he got tired, and he didn't have an answer for getting outstroke, or in a battle. Yeah, I say Vinicius Oliveira here. He's just going to outstrike him unless Saeed Nurmagomedov could find a way to get him exhausted and just bring him to the ground, have top control, and just dominate there. But yeah, I got Vinicius Oliveira on this one as well.
Yeah, I feel that. Next up is actually going to be potentially fight of the night. We'll see how it goes, but it's Pavlovich versus Rozenstruik. Pavlovich is coming off of 2 losses to Volkov and I believe Tom Aspinall.
Yep.
And Rozenstruik is coming off of a win against Tai Tuivasa. Rozenstruik's kind of been like, I don't even want to say like on his way up. Like he's got a bunch of losses on his record. Like he's lost to Ngannou, Cyril Gane, Curtis Blades, Volkov, Jailton Almeida. I think that the idea of Rozenstruik is pretty nice, but I don't think he's going to perform like people think he will. I think Pavlovich is just a better all-around fighter. Although he doesn't necessarily use his grappling or anything like that too much, but I think he's a better striker. I think he's probably better on the ground if it needs to go there as well. And when you look at Jairzinho, like his fight against Tai Tuivasa, I love Tai, don't get me wrong, but going into decision with Tai Tuivasa days is not a good look. You know, he should have been able to put that one away, I think. And when I look at his fight before that, yeah, like everybody, I'm looking at Tuivasa here. Up until Jairzinho, he was on a 4-fight finish streak where he like lost by finish 4 fights in a row, and then Jairzinho goes to decision. You know, so decision's definitely not a good look. He outstroked him 91-37. But even if you look at his fight before that he also won against Gaziev, he had 127 strike versus 22, and it still took him to the 4th round to get the knockout. So I think Pavlovich is just is a very experienced fighter. I got Pavlovich in this one. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to get back in the win column here.
I'm very confident in that pick. Sergey Pavlovich, he just has everything to prove. He lost his whole confidence his last 2 fights, but you got to compare these last 2 fights with each fighters. Sergey fought Tom Aspinall, lost to Alexander Volkov, who should have beat Cyril Gane and should have went on to fight Tom Aspinall in the next heavyweight title contention fight. And then you go to Yair Rozenstruik's last 2 wins. He won against Tai Tuivasa and Shamil Gaziev, who are just 2 fat dudes who love to get hit. These guys, when you compare those 2 levels of competition, yes, Sergey has 2 losses, but those wins don't really prove as that he's in the same caliber of the heavyweight division as Sergey Pavlovich. So I think Sergey is going to pressure him. I think he's going to go for that knockout, and I think he gets it done. I don't see this fight going a full 15 minutes. Sergey Pavlovich is added to my parlay, and yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, we're on the same page so far. Yeah, like you look at their like past fights, and like the only one that's similarity is Volkov. You know, Pavlovich and Volkov went to decision. Volkov and Rozenstruik, Volkov knocked him out in the 1st round. You know, like that's the difference in caliber of fighters here, I think.
Exactly.
This fight is going to be so I know I said that the last fight might be fight of the night just because I think it's going to be an early knockout, but this fight over here might be the most entertaining fight of the night. Both of these guys have such a unique striking. I can't even put it to words. Like Chara-Bullet's last knockout was crazy, where he did like a spinning elbow and then he like swung the other way. He like hit him on both, you know, and then it was the back fist that got him on the end, right? It was a spinning elbow and then a back fist. Nuts. And then he gets the KO with like a back fist. It's tough to say how this fight specifically is going to go because obviously you look at Michael Venom Page and he's legit, right? When you look at his just like MMA career, right? He came into the UFC obviously a little late into his career, but he's still a great fighter. He lost to Ian Gary. He beat Kevin Holland, but if anyone knows, it's us that Kevin Holland wastes everyone's time. And Ian Gary is a legit prospect, you know? You look at Chara-Bullet on the other hand, and although he had a great knockout against Petrosian, his other fights have been way too close compared to the hype that he has behind him, So I think it's going to be a striking bout. I don't think there's going to be much grappling here. And I think, honestly, I'm kind of going with MVP. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this one, but I think I'm leaning towards MVP. But considering the fights in Saudi and Nurmagomedov has had pretty good luck in Saudi Arabia, he's probably like the better's pick. But going with my heart here a little bit, and I think MVP might be able to get it done.
That's a solid pick, bro. I like all these fights on the main card just because they all have potential to end with a knockout, and that is amazing for a UFC card. We don't see that often. So, yeah, Chara-Bullet, everyone's calling him the best striker in the UFC right now. I guess we'll see. He's going up against a really legendary striker in Bellator and now coming into the UFC. MVP, he is no joke. His last fight was against Ian Gary at 170, where he did have some moments of shining in that fight. In the second round, I believe he won. He rocked Gary, and then Gary took his back in the third round and continued to win that fight by decision. So I don't see these two actually doing any wrestling here, so it's going to be a great striking battle. I know Chara throws a lot of volume. He hits hard. MVP does have a 6-inch reach advantage, I believe. So I think he's just going to bounce on the outside, blitz in, like the classic MVP we saw versus Kevin Holland and Ian Gary in the second round. So that being said, I don't see Chara-Bullet going for any takedowns here, and I think MVP wins the striking exchanges. Yes, he's moving up to 185. Who knows if he has that kind of middleweight power? We're going to see. He's going to get tested in this fight. He's going to get hit. But I agree with you again. I just can't pick Magomedov here. He has one eye. MVP fought Mike Perry and bare knuckle. He's got my pick for this fight.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that's a solid call. It's a tough one because it really is a toss-up fight because we haven't seen much of MVP in the UFC, and what we've seen him in the UFC hasn't been that impressive, honestly. Like, sure, he's got a win over Kevin Holland, but it wasn't like all that, right? I'm bullish on him, but it's still 50-50 in my eyes.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, but main event. This whole card is arguably better than UFC 312. And this main event is arguably better than the UFC 312 main event. Adesanya, he's obviously he's coming off of 2 losses. He lost to Sean Strickland and he lost to DDP. But he's still a very level fighter. He looked great in that DDP fight, I think. And DDP was able to catch him at the end there. Although DDP did have a lot of moments in the Sean Strickland fight, he didn't look that good, but I think it just kind of Sean Strickland caught him off guard there. Imavov, on the other hand, he's coming off of a 3-fight win streak. And when you look at his last loss, it was against Sean Strickland as well. So both struggled there. I do have Izzy winning. I think it's kind of like the perfect matchup for Izzy, where I think Imavov probably has slightly better groundwork than Izzy does. But at the same time, he doesn't rely on it heavily. He only averages 0.88 takedowns a fight. So he's not taking down he doesn't have a takedown every fight. And he's only got a 36% takedown accuracy. So maybe he'll shoot a few times, but Izzy's got 75% takedown defense. I think he'll be able to withstand it a little bit. I just don't think it's going to be enough to stop Izzy. And I think Izzy's just a better striker overall. So when you look at it that way, Izzy's going to get back in the win column and hopefully be fighting for a title soon. But I think even if he wins this fight, I don't think they book a title fight. I think they book him for another fight, and then he gets a title shot potentially. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. Israel Adesanya versus Imavov. Like you said, Izzy is 1-3 in his last 4. Imavov is 3-4 in his last 4 with a no contest. His fourth fight there, it was a no contest to Chris Curtis due to a headbutt, and then Chris Curtis kind of just said, "Yo, I'm done." Kind of doing that fake injury kind of thing that we see now and then, but I don't think I think this is like a perfect matchup in a sense. There's worse matchups for Israel Adesanya, like Kyle Berhalo and Sean Strickland. And so I think he's getting away with a good one here. He will outstrike Imavov. He just has the experience. I'm not sure if Imavov even has a 5-round fight yet. This is easy money for Israel Adesanya. Fight night, he doesn't have any pressure. He just has to stay loose. What Sean Strickland and DDP did to Israel Adesanya that I don't see Imavov doing is bringing the fight to him, attacking first, walking him down. I think they're both kind of just going to pace each other out. 5-round fight, 25 minutes, and Israel Adesanya will just piece him up. Hopefully he gets a late knockout, 4th, 5th round. That's how I see it playing out for sure.
Yeah. You see a late knockout, or you think it goes to decision?
I think we see him tire him out with the striking exchanges. I don't think Imavov, he'll get frustrated. I think Israel Adesanya has been training hard. I think what he hasn't been showing in his training videos is sprawling and takedown defense. I think he's going to be good on that end. He's lost 2 fights due to that. Well, not just to DDP. He got taken down there. I don't think he wants that to ever happen again, and I don't think it's going to happen against Imavov. So, yeah, I think he's going to outstrike him for 5 rounds, get him tired, get him exhausted, and maybe Imavov starts bringing it to him. But even in the rematch against Alex Pereira, he just has that power, man. He has the will to win. He wants to be champion again. He wants his rematches. This is a setup fight for that. I don't see him losing.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page as you there. I'm curious, like, let's say Israel Adesanya beats Imavov. Who's next for him? You know, like, if you look at the rankings, Dana, I think, already confirmed that Khamzat Chimaev is fighting for the title after Sean Strickland DDP. And then what, you set up Izzy with the loser of that title fight? And by the loser of the title fight, I mean the loser of DDP, Sean Strickland. I feel like that makes the most sense because I don't really see him. He's already fighting Imavov, who's like a prospect per se. So I don't see him fighting Kai Baralio. Like, why would he go back down the rankings, right? I feel like he can only move up from there.
Exactly. I think he had the option. I think there was a video of Kyle. He was saying how he was offered the fight with Israel Adesanya, but Izzy was also offered this fight, and he picked this fight. So I think that was for good reason. I think he knows. I think Israel Adesanya knows he could dominate in every aspect. He has that championship experience. He has all those title defenses. I don't think Imavov is at the level of a championship fighter yet. I think he should have got tested against another fighter, and I think he will after he loses this one. Just wrong matchup for Imavov. Israel Adesanya will be back on top by the end of 2025.
Yeah, I don't view Imavov as a top 5 middleweight, to be honest. Like, I think the rankings have it wrong. I'm bullish on Kai Baralio. Like, I think he needs to be in that top 5. So they just got to swap spots. But anyways, it's going to be an interesting night. I'm pretty excited for it. But Cody, I appreciate you joining me, man. It's been a pleasure. We're going to have you more on more episodes. And you guys are going to be seeing him on Inside Fighting more. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton. I don't ask you guys often, but I'm going to start. But anyways, it's been a pleasure, brother. We'll catch up next week.
Peace.